Alright, hey guys, it's Kevin here, and today in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to create and install a custom head in BattleBlock Theater. Specifically, I am going to be creating this head. Basically any of these heads you saw here, you can create, or I'll have a download link to a bunch of custom ones I've already made. But this is basically a screenshot I've taken from the final cutscene. And I basically turn that part into a head, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So either you can take an image from the internet or a screenshot from a game, or you could just draw one from scratch, which works equally as well. Basically the only thing you're going to need is BattleBlock Theater for Steam and image editor, which can save images with a transparent background. And I personally use Photoshop, but if you don't want to buy Photoshop, there's some free alternatives. This one is an example, which is actually super easy. You don't even have to install or download anything. I'll put a link to this in the description. I know it works with Internet Explorer and Google Chrome, and usually if things work with Internet Explorer, it probably works for like everything else. I'm assuming Firefox and Safari it will also work with, but I know it works for Internet Explorer and Google Chrome. And then if for whatever reason you can't get this to work, there is actually another free image editing program that can do the same thing, which is called GIMP. I'll also put a link to this. This one you do have to download and install, but it's free and it's pretty much the same as Photoshop. So once you're ready to start creating your image, open up your image editor, and we're going to create a new one here. And it has to be 128 pixels by 128, and if you're using Pixlr, which is what I'm using here, make sure you check transparent, because you do need transparent backgrounds. And that is the size you need to make your head. If you are just drawing your head from scratch, you can just draw it in that area. If you're using another image like I am, you can open images by going to File, Open in the top left there. Alright, so if you're using a image, a screenshot or something not from scratch, we're basically going to use the lasso tool. We're going to be using the polygon lasso tool, and we're basically going to click at each kind of points around part of the image that we want. Most images from BattleBlock Theater, if you take a screenshot, it's kind of nice because they have this nice black border which you can kind of follow around and be a little bit loose with it. So now that we've connected it, I am going to hit Control C and copy that, and then Control V to paste it. And this background, we're not going to need it, so I'm going to double click that lock and then hide it. And this is basically what we're going to be working with. I'm going to add a new layer and switch to paintbrush tool, and let's try 5. So basically what I'm doing here is just trying to get my brush size about the same size as you see the outline here, and it looks like 5 is pretty close. So now that I'm on a new layer, on the top layer here, I'm just going to draw where I kind of have an idea of where I want it to get cut out. One of the reasons I like Photoshop better is you can kind of make this smoother line, and actually GIMP you can do it a lot smoother. You can see how it's kind of jagged. But like I said, for this tutorial I'm just going to be doing it kind of quick here. Now that we kind of have the idea of where we want the head, we're going to use the lasso tool again, and back on this layer, the shark layer, I'm going to just go around that black line that we just drew, and then circle back around to delete the rest of it. So I'm just going to hit delete and get rid of that, and Control D to deselect everything. Now we kind of have a rough head here. I'm actually going to merge this layer down, so that way the entire head's on one layer. And now that we have this head, we can copy this over to our head canvas. So I'm just going to select this layer, hit Control A to select it all, and then Control C to copy it. And then let's maximize this and Control V to paste it. Now obviously it's way too big, so we're going to go up to edit and free transform, and we're going to scale this down. Now if you just try and scale it down, it kind of skews it, so we're going to hold shift while we're scaling it, so that way it keeps the same aspect ratio. So you're going to kind of scale it down so it fits quite a bit in there. Also, when you're creating a head, the right side of the image should be the front, and if you see here, we got it backwards, so we're going to go up to image and flip canvas horizontally. So now he's looking the correct way. I am also actually going to rotate it a little bit here with the free transform tool again, just so it kind of fits a little bit better, and in my opinion looks a little bit better. You obviously will have a different image and can do whatever you want with it. Alright, so now that you have your final product, or almost your final product, we're going to go back up to edit, free transform, and we're actually going to want to stretch it out a little bit. It might look a little bit weird right now, but when you import it into BattleBlock Theater, it will squish it back down, so we want to kind of stretch it out a bit. So this is basically our final project. So I'm just going to go up to File and save it. So now we're going to want to save it as a PNG, because PNG files support transparency, and you can tell that by the checkered background. I'll just call it like shark and click OK, and I'll just save that to my desktop. Now you don't want to close any of this just yet, because you may get the image into in-game and you may notice it doesn't really fit too well, or you want to adjust it. So I would just leave all this open now, so that way you can come back and edit anything you want to. So before we can actually install the head, we do actually have to close out of BattleBlock Theater. Basically, if you install any heads while the game's running, it won't register until you reboot the game. So close, make sure you have BattleBlock Theater closed before you do this next step, which is basically going into where your BattleBlock Theater is installed. So you're going to want to find your Steam install directory. I'm going to show you where the default directory is. If you have a 64-bit computer, it will be in Program Files x86. If you don't see that file, go into Program Files. So go into x86 if you have it. If not, go into Program Files, and then we're going to go down to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, BattleBlock Theater, Game Data, and then User Faces. So here's a bunch of random ones I have. I actually still have that old shark one I did, so I'm just going to delete that. And now with this image we just created and saved to wherever you saved it to, we're going to move that into the User Faces folder. Now that you have that in there, you can reopen or relaunch BattleBlock Theater. So before you even check out your new head, I suggest going into the options and then settings, and this right here, remote user faces, I suggest you enable that. That's basically so you can see other people's faces when you're playing online. So I'm just going to go into like a local story game, and it should be right there. And now you can see, like I said, when we stretched it out, it's kind of stretched out in this image, but once you get in game, it kind of squishes it a little bit. So now you may notice like your head might not fit properly, or it might not be stretched enough, or it might be stretched too much. So this is why I said to leave the image editor open, because now you can make any adjustments you want, resave it, make sure you close and reboot the game after you've replaced this file. So I'll have this head and a bunch of other heads that you can download in the description. And also I'll make sure to put that screenshot I used, so that if you want to create this exact head just for learning purposes, then you can do that. So thanks for watching. See you guys next time.